Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Blood of My Blood. We're here again at Ghostlight RPGs. We are theater artists keeping the lamp lit even while the theaters are dark through role-playing games and friends. We're just so happy to have you all here and very excited to delve into this, our fourth session of Blood of My Blood. I'm Graham Ward, the Dungeon Master for tonight, and I have my friends with me. Uh, I've got Justin Barron, say hi.
Hey, what's up? My name is Justin. I play Tiago, the Werkin cleric.
And Emma Carter.
Hi, I'm Emma. I play Adelaide, the half-elf warlock.
And William Sinclair.
Hello, everybody. My name is William. I play Theodore, a human fighter.
Jessica Jackson.
Hi, I'm Jax. I play Fernwig, the human cook.
And of course, last but not least, Ted Bushman.
Hi, I'm Ted. I play Briar, the human barbarian.
So, as we begin our session tonight, we want to quickly just thank the whole team at Ghostlight RPGs. We are producing a few different streams. We've got the Green Room, which Justin holds on Tuesday nights at
8:30 Central.
8:30 Central. I always have to convert to the Central
I
time.
know.
Okay, and then we've got Pitfalls and Ponies, which is a great family-friendly and extremely entertaining stream that Emma runs at 10:30 Central Time on Sunday mornings. So those are our shows, and we hope that you support by following and subscribing to us and joining in the chat. We want to give a huge thank you to those who have already subscribed and expressed support since our session of Blood of My Blood last week, and for Pitfalls and Ponies in the Green Room. It's been so gratifying, and we're just so grateful for everyone's support. We were kind of blown away right off the bat, so thanks so much. We're glad that you're having fun, even though these characters are absolutely not. We want to give a content warning as well. So this is a horror stream. It takes place in the Darkplane Universe, which is a terrifying, gruesome place, and fictional, as opposed to the terrifying, gruesome place that we live in the real world. But in the stream, you will likely encounter macabre things. We will have depictions of violence, death, murder, slimy things, cheesy things. We've got all kinds of horrible things. We don't quite know what's going to happen, so there may be other elements that come into play. Every week I've mentioned self-harm, although it hasn't come up, so that's probably good. But there are certainly some topics that would not be appropriate for some people. So use discretion and be aware that we will be exploring the theme of madness, and this is one thing I've mentioned before, but the madness that we will encounter in this story is a fantasy fictional version. It's not a mental illness, so please know that that's not what we're trying to represent, but rather the madness here is what happens when mortal beings come in contact with something that was not meant for their minds to comprehend, in a more Lovecraftian sense. So with that content warning and our introductions and thank yous, I think we are ready to begin. Last session, there was a big turning point, kind of a catastrophic event, as the family, who our characters are a member of, had their ship overtaken by fire and then taken up, folded in half, and sort of beamed up, levitated into this oversized celestial sphere that seemed like the moon. It is kind of a golden, saturated yellow color, and it is now covering most of the sky above them. Our players were lowered down into lifeboats, so they are now alone with 2 lifeboats on the high seas with no land in sight in the dead of night, as their ship has been taken up into the moon. There is another vessel which was a derelict ship that they came into contact with in a previous session. They found some shocking and disturbing things inside that vessel, including some bodies, some mirrors, magical mirrors that seem to have entrapped some angelic-looking creatures who had been mutilated, and also had trapped Fernwig, Jessica's character. So, having rescued her and gotten into the lifeboat, you can see in the distance, about, say 800 feet away, just dimly lit by this glowing golden moonlight, the derelict vessel with no sails and carrying the vast majority of the passengers from your own ship, just listing with the waves as it begins to rain. You've now been on your lifeboat for an hour. What's everyone doing?
I think Tiago would have shifted back in this time, and maybe redressed himself in his human form. I think he has remained mostly silent, though, just to kind of just leave it be for a while. But eventually breaking the silence. I don't suppose anyone wants to talk.
Feels like there's a lot to discuss. Probably during the preceding hour, Briar has a few questions. One is, what is the method of this boat moving? Are we going to be rowing? Is that our
Yes,
only
you have oars.
method? Okay, wow.
There are 3 sets of oars.
3 sets of oars, okay. In terms of the rain, do we have materials to cover anything, or would it be possible to makeshift something? I mean, I doubt we have much packed onto the lifeboat. I mean, like a canvas or anything?
I believe that you have the equipment that's in your inventories for your personal characters, and then enough supplies and rations for, we'll say, 3 days.
Okay.
And the chest that Theodore is sitting on is a kind of mysterious carrying box that was drawn out of the captain's quarters, and he has been very defensive about it. Won't let anyone touch it, and I don't believe any other characters would be aware of what thing is or what's inside it.
And have Mother and the rest, have they started rowing? I mean, are we rowing somewhere, or are we just chilling out here?
It's up to you.
I think Briar would have probably taken to a set of oars, trying to keep the same bearing that we'd been taking before, generally, if he was able to gauge that.
Okay.
And
Upon seeing that, Theodore would have chuckled to himself. And not necessarily much more than that, but the second that Briar picks up the oars and attempts to start rowing, just sort of chuckles and shakes his head a bit and just continues kind of sitting there bewildered.
And just one clarification, sorry. In our boat, is the 5 of us plus Edda?
That's right. Edda, who is another member of the family's inner circle, very close with Mother. In the past, you would have kind of noted that Edda really prided herself on her relationship with Mother, the influence that she has, but never in a way that was competitive with any of you. That she sort of considered herself a high status figure. How about Adelaide and Fernwig?
Fernwig is huddled in the bow of the boat, and she's looking out toward the boat that Mother's in and just sort of just watching it. She doesn't seem to mind that it's raining so much. Her long, white, stringy hair is plastered to her face and she's soaking wet, but that's not what her mind is on. She is silent.
Adelaide is also silent, huddled in one of the boats, holding a femur-sized bone in both of her hands, staring out into the distance.
Yes, and we saw previously that there are strange pictographs carved into that bone. They're still there. Others would be able to kind of notice it, especially if Adelaide is holding it just on her lap. You would have time and see that it has a series of images, all depicting a ship and various other symbols or signs around. The first with flame, the second with S-shaped serpents, the third with eyes ringing the deck of the ship, and the fourth showing the ship folding in half like a hinge and being taken up into the moon. Edda will break the silence after this hour has passed. So you've all had the benefit of a short rest. I'm sure it doesn't feel very restful, but anything that you'd regain on a short rest, you have at your disposal. And Edda will say, I don't suppose any of you is a navigator, Theodore?
And how exactly do you suppose we should navigate, considering the heavens? As it turns out, we had no idea the trajectory that we were heading because we were lied to. And now we cannot use celestial bodies to navigate because the moon appears to be encompassing the entirety of the sky. Forgive me, friends. I did not mean to provide an outburst like that. I just can't help but see the humor in all of this.
Well, you'll forgive me if I don't find it very funny.
Well, perhaps you, all of us, might have thought of that. It would seem as though we have all made a series of choices that have brought us to this very spot. And I am sitting here, much like I imagine all of you are, trying to make sense of what it is that I have done and why it is I deserve this. Was anyone going to tell me that Selby was dead?
I had planned.
Briar, when I directed you to her cabin, she was still alive and breathing. We were caring for her. And now, miraculously, she has simply ceased to be.
Yes, I'm certain it's only me who was given imperfect information. You had been taking care of her for what, weeks at that point? And failed to tell any of us any of what was going on with her.
Well, you can thank your mother for that, because I was under explicit instruction not to tell anyone what had happened. And with that, like, Theodore is just gonna, like, pat the chest that he's sitting on top of.
It is fair to say that we have all had hidden secrets, hidden bits of ourselves. I know that I have a lot of explaining to do on that regard, but we are still family, no? I mean, we are divided, we are broken, we are lost, but we have each other. Does that count for nothing?
Well, that's right. Families stick together, don't they? And they forgive each other?
Mother would say, oh, go ahead, Tiago.
No, please.
Mother would say that true living is to know the results of your actions, take accountability for them, and live for fullness. That's what Mother would say, right? Those are her teachings. And yes, I think, Theodore, you are right. I think we should come clean a little bit about what's been going on. I think you'll have to forgive us for the moment of not telling you about Selby, considering that you were under the heel of one of the sailors, and we were all about to nearly run into a crashed ship. So now we have the time. My main questions are these: what happens to Selby and our ship? Because strange things were happening all over the ship, and some of them far before we encountered that vessel, the derelict. I want to know what those things were, what it might mean. Then, of course, what did we encounter on the ship? What was its purpose? Who were the people who were on it? Why do we not know where we were going? What were those statues that you and I saw in the captain's chambers? Anyway, those are too many questions to start with, but it seems a lot of it starts with Selby.
It seems a lot of it starts with Mother. Mother says this, Mother says that. Mother has a lot of wisdom. But does Mother ever speak the truth? She told me certain things too, certain promises of protection. And look where that got me. Trapped on a horrid ship, rescued by you, now in a lifeboat. Headed where?
Edda speaks up now and says, I know that we all are scared, disappointed, to say the least. We have experienced terrifying things. You all saved my life, and I owe you a great debt for that. But let's not rush to judgment or move on toward decrying Mother, who has done so much for us. We should be careful and not speak too rashly. Don't forget who has kept us safe all this time, who was leading us. Maybe if something went wrong, it's a mishappenstance that Mother couldn't have countered. You don't think she deliberately engineered something, did you?
Weeks before what happened back in town, I went to Selby with Mother and this chest. When we encountered her, Mother and Selby had a disagreement, and then Mother instructed me to forcibly restrain Selby as she opened this chest. And when she opened this chest, some foul thing came forth from it and consumed Selby, and from that point forward, Selby had that is what brought about Selby's illness. Her retching into that wooden bucket on the ship, despite the fact that she drank no water, that she ate no food, that she should have wasted away far sooner. So please do not lecture me on what we should or should not do with regard to Mother and how we should speak of her. She made promises to all of us, it would seem.
Theodore, I don't know what you've been through. Obviously something terrible, something tragic. But are you sure you're in your right mind? What came out of the chest and what's in it now?
And why is it on this ship?
Because I intend to find out exactly what it is held within it.
Adelaide looks to Briar and Fernwig and Tiago.
Tiago.
Thank you.
Theodore, I'm sure I do not need to tell you that it is probably unwise to even think about opening that box on this boat.
Oh, I have no intention of opening it at this very moment. You need not worry about that.
Theodore, what was the nature of the disagreement between Mother and Selby? Do you remember? Was it something that you understood?
No, not fully. As best I could tell, I think that Selby had aimed to leave the family. She'd been marked as a traitor. And undoubtedly this had something to do with Marsus, but of that, I'm not entirely clear.
I can confirm that Selby's intention was indeed to leave the family. Sad as that makes me, and as much as I'm sure each of you would hate to think of Selby deserting us, becoming one of the lost, she did intend it. She and Marsus, and as she says the name Marsus, she kind of quickly, furtively glances at Adelaide and says they were planning to leave, abandon us, and never come back.
Yes, I can confirm this too.
Oh, what more do you know?
I became aware of this, and it was very painful.
Of course.
But this meeting was after Marsus disappeared. Yes?
I believe so, yes.
Could Marsus have been involved?
How
With her
so?
illness, or?
Well, what do we know of his fate? You said he disappeared, and it's true, I didn't see him for the last few days when we were at the compound.
He was a liar and a philanderer and a horrible person, it turns out. None of us knew this, but he was the one who it's his fault that Selby was lost in the first place.
That's right.
So let me ask you all this question. As I am a newer member of the family, I haven't had the benefit of being a part of this group from the start. Should any of us have our throats cut for indiscretions here, for keeping things from one another, for lying? Is that how the family tends to... I was made to believe this was an exception. When I walked into that room, I wasn't entirely clear what was going to unfold, and what I saw horrified me. And Mother reassured me that it was necessary, and Mother reassured me that Selby would be okay.
Theodore,
Now it would appear...
We love you. We love each of you. All of us are bound together in a very special relationship. Of course we would never hurt you. It hurts us to be betrayed.
Yes, exactly. Loyalty is very important. And we all need to know that we can trust one another now more than ever.
This is true.
And Mother certainly had her reasons to keep that information from you. To have you keep it from us. I'm sorry for speaking harshly.
Trust.
I know that you... Go.
Trust is a must at this point. It is absolutely necessary if we are to continue. I know that each of you have withheld things from the rest of us. It is only human. I would like to explain a bit about I don't know what I am. I know that I shift. I have a demon inside of me. I have not let it out in a long time, for fear of it destroying this family as it destroyed my last. But I don't know that there's any other option. At a certain point, it breaks free anyway. And I only tell you this now because with the things that I have seen, the things that we are going up against, this demon seems necessary. And I turn to Adelaide. There are things inside of us that we may not want to show, but things that are necessary now. Please.
Yes.
I sensed in you a demon as well.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it that. But Tiago, I agree with you, and we are all very fortunate that you were able to use this power within you to protect us, to save our lives. Certainly this is nothing to be for you to apologize for. We should be thanking you. And yes, it is true that I have some abilities myself that I may not have been open about with you previously, but I was only just discovering them myself, and so I feel that I can now be honest with you about them. I have a friend, a special friend, a powerful friend, who has given me the tools necessary to protect this family. And she's still clutching the bone.
Sorry. At this, Fernwig begins laughing, just sort of hysterically giggling in the corner of the boat.
What's so funny?
Nothing. Nothing, Adelaide. It's just whatever you have. Whatever your pretty little kitty that I first started to sense a little bit back at the compound during happier days. For you to call it a little friend. I'm sorry, it was just too much for me.
I've never seen this cat.
Yes,
what is
what
she
is
talking
this
about?
creature?
It's it's not a cat. It's not a real cat. It's a being. It's a force of nature, of some other plane, perhaps an angel, a deity.
You don't know what it is. I at least hoped you would know what it is. Whatever it is a terrible thing.
I resent that. Silver is also one of the reasons why we survived tonight, if you will remember. I would not have been able to lure that hellhound away without Silver, and I would not have been able to protect you and myself without Silver.
But why? What does it want? What has it asked you to do? What does it want with us?
It hasn't asked me to do anything that I wasn't already planning to do anyway.
Have you always known this Silver? Have they been with you for a long time?
Not too long. Since before we left, yes.
So that's
you
1/3 of those of us on the boat that have some sort of spirit living inside of them. What about you, Fernwig? How were you able to detect Silver back at the compound?
I have a little trick. Some little tiny gifts. Some, where I come from, call it psychic abilities. Some in other parts have called me a medium. It's not anything that I chose to do or even wanted, but I have it. And so I could always sense there was somebody, something, always just a couple feet in front of or a little bit behind Adelaide when she was walking around the compound. And then I'd see her every once in a while dip down to stroke something by her side. And so I thought, well, is it that interesting? Our little princess has some sort of invisible cat. But no, I have been keeping things from you all too. Yes, there's certain things I can do, but they're so small compared to what just happened, what Mother was able to do standing in that boat, or I don't even know if it was Mother. I don't know.
Well, it seems that the less open-minded among us, like myself and perhaps you, Theodore, must expand our worldview somewhat. I have heard of lycanthropes. I think I've heard the word, something to that effect, that have the abilities that you have, Tiago. In folk stories, I didn't know that they were real. And Adelaide, I've heard of, I don't know, witchcraft or magic. But it's clear from this evening that either we are all going to wake up sometime soon and laugh over a very strange dream, or what I think is far more likely is that we have to take stock and understand the things over which we have control and attempt to survive and to find some way to send something back to those people trapped on the derelict, if there is any way that they can survive.
So naive, Briar. Those people are dead. Those people, there's no hope for them. When I told them to go to the ship, I was sending them to their death so that I could spare these 6 lives and the 6 other lives on that other boat, because there was no other thing to be done. This is all so much more worse than you're willing to acknowledge. It's fine though. It really, really, truly is. Whatever help, whatever assistance you need from me, know that I'll be there to give it to you, because, well, from the looks of things, we've only got a few days left anyway. So, what's it matter?
Etta leans forward and says, "Why are they dead? What's in that ship?"
Ooh, who wants to take this one?
But we fought this being and we destroyed it, didn't we? I thought we destroyed it. It went. But there were things down in the ship, and I didn't look at them. But there were things down there. But
You're speaking of that hound?
yes, but no, there were others. There were Fernwig. You remember, don't you?
Yes, I remember. Graham, would I know what the hounds were? With my experience with the Eitharmos?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
so
they're hunting hounds.
Exactly.
Oh. Yes. There's a group of... Do you know when the compound was raided? When whatever Mother and you, Theodore or Briar, were doing to make the town so angry at the family when they raided our compound. Well, I was about to slip out the kitchens, and suddenly I saw within the mob those idiots with their scarred faces, those zealots. They hunt people down. They're fighting some religious war that that might as well just be in their imaginations. Their god tells them to scar themselves, promises immortality, and sets them on people who can't defend themselves, like Theodore, those poor wingless creatures you just saw crumpled when you broke me out of that mirror. And me. Mother promised me protection, but, well, she didn't seem too upset about leaving one of her own behind. So anyway, they put me in that mirror, and after a few days, suddenly I see Theodore. He breaks me out. And as you can see, my situation hasn't significantly improved.
Why do they hunt you?
Tiago, you said you have a demon inside you. Sweet man, you don't have a demon inside you. You simply have another part of you that is this wonderful, beautiful beast. I am a daemon, I think. I'm not really sure. Most of the time I feel like a human. I feel like a person, but I know it to be true. I am also a demon, a daemon. It's all very confusing and something I really try not to think about, but that's why they were after me. I'm supposed to be one of them. I'm supposed to be waging the war in some meaningless war between two shithead gods, and frankly, I don't want to be a part of it. So there you have it. Since we're all sharing and coming out with secrets. There it is, old Fernwig. It's a fiend.
I told Mother that she was not very good with hiring cooks.
Did you enjoy the food, Briar?
It was very good food. I'm not saying that. It's just, of course, we happen to have a demon cook.
Does anyone have proficiency with history?
Believe I do.
Yes, I do.
I don't, but Adelaide is gonna start giggling, just like, kind of maddeningly, like.
Yes, I suppose I deserve that, princess.
Tiago reaches over and takes Fernwig's hand. You are one of us. We are all complicated.
I wanted to believe that. I came to Mother looking for a job, and she ended up giving me a home, a family. But now I don't know what to think. I feel as if she's lied to us. And I don't know what to think.
She offered me something similar. Do you know how many failed expeditions I've been on? How many men have died under my command? And she said it was all going to be different. She promised that we were about to set out on some great journey and that there was going to be purpose. And then here we are in the middle of the ocean with a few oars and a little bit of food. And now I'm counting half of the 6 people on this boat having some sort of crazy special power brewing inside of them. I'm not convinced there's not more. I may be the only human left on the boat.
Don't be so jealous, Theodore.
Something is bringing all of this down on our heads. And I'm not convinced that it's all of you. But I know it's not me.
Then why did you bring that? And I point to the chest onto this boat when you could have brought 2 more people instead of sending them to their death.
Because this is the answer. This is one of the things that Mother coveted. This is one of the things that Mother used. If it's the last thing I do, will understand what it is that I have been pulled into. If I do that on my own, so be it. But I'm not simply going to rationalize everything that we've done to this point. I am part of the reason that Selby's dead, and I will not simply state, oh, she had it coming. I am shocked to hear you say that, Briar. I know that your relationship with her was... your relationship with everyone in the family. All of us, so quick to rationalize murder.
Or mercy?
I did not
Perhaps-
say she had it coming. Adelaide, say what you were going to say.
No, I only meant that perhaps Mother was trying to protect you, Theodore, protect all of us from something. Perhaps you will find your answers, but what if you don't like them when you know the truth? Wouldn't it be better to stay together as a family and still have hope?
What I did is going to rot me from the inside out from now until I'm dead in the ground. That isn't any of your faults.
That thought is punctuated by the sudden sound of something thunking against the side of the boat. Alongside these lapping waves, you can now see, just glinting in this golden moonlight, the bodies that had been surrounding the derelict vessel. You have now rowed into the area where these corpses are just rolling on the open sea.
Adelaide is going to lean over and vomit into the ocean.
Theodore is going to lean over with his longsword, and I'm going to, impale one. Not forcibly, but just kind of, as one comes near the side of the boat, sort of push the sword into it and kind of push it away from the boat, and then look back up at everyone else and say, well, this couldn't have come too soon. I was afraid we were going to sit here and talk for the rest of our lives.
When you poke the body with your blade, you can see that it is shirtless. Another shirtless male. And as it turns, you see the scars of the Eitharmos, these mysterious crusaders on the body. One straight line down the chest, two across, and several others that kind of turn it into a slightly runic symbol.
Upon seeing that, I'll say, Fernwig, you said that you had experience with these. Are these the same markings? I only saw them on the one gentleman. This is what you were talking about?
These are Eitharmos. And I can't say I'm unhappy to see them floating dead. But I do wish I know what had killed them. All right, enough of this. Enough of this. Let's at least find out something. And Fernwig gets up and she starts working her way kind of clumsily through the boat toward the box that Theodore's sitting on, and she plops herself down right in front of it. And then she starts concentrating. Can I try to contact what's in the box?
Yes. Okay. As you do so, let me make a little roll.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
I was just going to bust it open with a sword, so this is way better.
Okay, what is your spell save DC?
13.
Okay. You sense momentarily some glimmer of intelligence within this box, and then your mind is shoved out.
Well, whatever it is, it thinks, and it doesn't want me nosing around. Sorry. I wish I could have told us more. And Fernwood gets up and she shakes the boat again, and she rustles her way back down to the other side and plops down.
And I think with that, Theodore is going to lift himself off of the box and move away from it a little bit and maybe forcibly like nudge himself next to Tiago so that he has a space to sit down that isn't on the chest anymore.
Adelaide.
Now, I just want to point out that, oh gosh, poor Adelaide. For those who have history proficiency, you would know, you would have heard of the daemons, who are exactly as Fernwig has described. They're a kind of a storied people who are basically chosen humans whose bodies have been inhabited by you wouldn't normally think of them as demonic or particularly evil, but they are associated with the god Damoth, who is the god of winter, and happens to have some associations with the realms outside of the mortal world. For the average religious goer, they wouldn't think of themselves as a demon worshiper. But if you have proficiency with history, you would be aware that there is a tinge of that association with the mythology behind Damoth. And the daemons are basically like seen as messiahs in that religion, that they're prominent people who have been chosen to be vessels for these ancient spirits being reborn into flesh.
Based on Theodore's experience, so if he has a proficiency in history and knows that, is that something that in certain groups is like, oh, this is just myth, this is just like they claim that they can do these things, but of course it's all probably just, some sort of trick for the followers and all of those sorts of things?
Yeah, if you think of it as akin to saints, or so there are probably
Right.
you would know that there are people who contemporaneously believe in this and believe in the virtue and power of these people, but there's also a long history of stories going back hundreds of years, even thousands of years, of these beings, and much more elaborate and miraculous sounding as it goes further back in history.
Well, what do we do now?
What about your cat? Perhaps could they help you to understand what this box is?
I could try. Silver? And Graham, I would like to invoke Pact of the Chain.
Okay. So you're bringing your familiar spirit into its form, and coalescing in front of you, you all see a very large silver cat appear.
This is Silver. Silver, this is my family.
She kind of slinks up beside Adelaide, resting her hip against your shoulder. Oh, gives you a little lick on the hand, maybe, and just kind of looks out at the rest of you like,
Silver, can you help us uncover what might be, or who might be inside that box, please?
So with your pact having matured to this point, you sense a telepathic connection between you and the cat, and you are now able to understand her thoughts. You very clearly hear the voice in your mind as you ask, where before you were kind of reading her expressions. Now she looks at you and you just understand the content of what she's saying. She says, "What is in that box is a very old thing. Something stolen from another place and another time. It has no right to be here. Mother was using it wrongfully."
And I relay that to my companions.
Etta is starting to look very, very upset. She's just quiet, sitting on the end of the boat, opposite side from Theodore. And she's just kind of huddled up, in the rain, looking down, and you can see she's kind of silently crying or having a bit of an emotional experience. She's obstinately not looking at the cat that has just appeared in front of her.
Oh, Etta, darling, don't worry. She's fine. Silver, should we destroy what is in this box? Should we throw it overboard? Should we deliver it somewhere? What can we do to rid ourselves of whatever curse has been following us this evening?
The thing in that box will not solve what you have faced. It is but a stolen vestige now lies above you. Something that inhabited that plane. And she looks up and she says, the realm of the Hiyorugh.
The realm of the Hiyorugh? What is that?
As you say this, do you say that out loud? Fernwig, would you make a history check for me?
Yeah. History is intelligence. Oh, not good. 3 + 3, 6.
Okay, so the barest information you know about the world of the Hiyorugh is that it is associated with it's a former domain that belonged to the god Damoth, and somewhere in this long history of the war that you've avoided all your life, it was lost. It's kind of like if you imagine like the Holy Grail is a thing that was lost and everyone was searching for it. That's kind of the association. But
They're looking for this lost domain.
yeah, you would never picture it as this enormous sphere in the sky.
Okay. What was the name of it again?
Hiyorugh. That is spelled Hiyorugh.
Great.
Oh.
So I relate this Hiyorugh. I was never a willing student of all of this, but it's like a lost place, a lost domain of the god Damoth. Oh, the Eitharmos would have killed to have found it. It was everything to them, trying to find this, I don't know, this special place.
Well, whatever is in this box is from that special place, and it shouldn't be here, and it won't help us.
Our ship. I was taken to a place. I do not know where, but perhaps it was this Hiyorugh. It was another world.
When did this happen?
Right. It's the last thing I remember before I came to on this boat. With you, I was with you, and then.
It was when you fell unconscious. After we saw that thing.
Yes. Yes.
There was this horrendous monster in the hold of the boat which had animated or parasited onto the corpse of a member of the family. This stringing insect. It's difficult to describe. I barely saw what it was.
Briar, as you're imagining what you saw and recollecting, it suddenly strikes you. You didn't notice it in the moment, but the corpse that was hanging off the end of that creature was the corpse of Captain Tariq Zet.
It was the captain's body.
What?
That's who I saw. This it was puppeting, or it grabbed onto. Briar's going to turn to Edda really quickly and actually like stop rowing, go over to her and like take her hands in his hands and say, Edda, I understand that you are afraid, and I will admit I am also afraid. There is so much that we are learning, and I just want you to know that you don't need to be afraid of us. I said a minute ago, and Theodore, you misinterpreted me. I said that Mother had her reasons for doing what she did to Selby to make this happen, to unleash whatever was in this box. I don't mean that Selby deserved it. I loved Selby more than I wanted to take care of her. And I did things that I would do again. Things that were dangerous and perhaps wrong, but I think that is part of what we do for our family. And I think that may be, I don't know. I don't know whether to believe what Mother has been saying. I have known her longer than any of you, but whatever she has done, she has had a reason to do it. Perhaps, as you would hope, Edda, perhaps it is for the benefit of the family. Perhaps it is to protect us from something. Perhaps it is to end this fool demon war that you talk about. Fernwig, I don't know, but I think we owe it to ourselves and simply to our own survival to try and understand.
Just stop it! Stop it, she says. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. We're sitting on this boat and we're all gonna die.
I just want to hold her, if she'll let me.
Make a persuasion check, or if you'd like to use.
I'm not gonna try and force her into a hug.
But sort of with your body language.
Yeah, I'll let out the invitation and
if you'd rather make an insight check, that would also be good to kind of read what would actually comfort her.
I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. That's a 21, actually.
Ooh.
Okay, you feel her initially recoil, but then as her emotional state kind of crescendos, she leans in and will just kind of lean against you, and you seem to
I'll just take her hand.
Comforted her enough that she kind of breathes slowly again, and she wipes her eyes and just says, "I'm sorry. It's just so much to take in. We're surrounded by corpses." And then she just looks up at the moon and says, "Where does this end?"
I don't know. But I am... It feels little to say, but I'm glad that you're with us. You can be of help to the family. You have always been there for us.
What do you want me to do?
For now, just be here, and we're going to try and figure out what to do next. But for now, all we need to do is wait and see what happens.
She goes quiet.
At this point, so I collected 2 scrolls off of the ship from that altar and put them on my person. Mm-hmm. So Theodore would have stuck these somewhere on, and through all of this, he sort of remembers that he had them. There's a lot that's gone on between when he picked up those scrolls and where we currently find ourselves. So he's gonna kind of realize and reach inside and pull out the 2 scrolls and sort of lay them flat on top of the chest, and say, when we were on that derelict ship, I picked these up. Well, Briar, you were swinging at the altar, so I don't know. Maybe they will be of some assistance to us and provide some information.
I think that was well done, Theodore. I think if we can piece together everything that we know, if we can try to understand, so the Damoth and the realm of Hiyorugh and those crusaders, if we can understand what they were after, then we might be able to understand what perhaps Mother saw in them or what she hoped to gain. I don't know what, but that way we can know where we're going or what we were looking for. So I think let's take a look. I'm not terribly skilled with these things, but if anyone is, we can try to understand the nature of these things.
The scrolls seem to be penned in a much more elaborate pictograph, but it does stylistically resemble the pictographs that are on the bone. Fernwig, do you speak Zorak?
I rejected my Dark Herald at the age of 6, so I don't know. Would I have learned it? I put it as a potential language proficiency, but I don't know if story wise.
Yeah, I think you would intuitively be able to read it.
Oh, okay.
As a vestige of your past life.
Would I need to be in my current form? Would I be able to read it?
Let's say that as you look at it, it seems a little arcane, and you think that if you were to shift, that you might read it better.
I kind of impatiently grab one of the scrolls from Theodore's hands, and I'm kind of agitated, and I said, fine. But I still think there's only one person who knows what's going on, and she's in that other boat. And so I pull open the scroll, and breathe deeply, and then suddenly my skin starts to become kind of a sickly white light, and my eyes begin to glow, and I straighten a little, and whether she gets taller or not, she seems to in a way. And this is Fernwig's daemon form. And so as she's doing this, she looks around kind of self-consciously at the others, just kind of daring them to say anything about it. And then she starts to read.
Okay. What you read is clearly scripture, and it's written in the Zorok language. It's long. I won't imitate too much of the style of the wording, but it says, "And behold, thus shall the passage be revealed unto thee, and in thy way thou shalt find these obstacles." And it will kind of tell this long, elaborate story that seems to be instructions on how to find what it refers to as the body of our Lord and Father. Okay. That term, the body of our Lord and Father, seems to be synonymous with other mentions of the Hiyorugh. This is revelatory to anyone who might have heard some of this lore that we revealed moments ago, that apparently the Hiyorugh is a previous body that was used by the god Daemoth. And it was killed or discarded in the Darkplane. And the text would make reference to the Darkplane as this void that exists outside of natural reality. It's very vague the way it refers to it. Probably even the people writing the scripture didn't entirely understand. But the connotation you get is that Daemoth lives in the Darkplane. He has discarded the body called Hiyorugh, and the body was taken up by his dismembered child, whose name was Gorin.
Okay.
So the Hiyorugh is currently the body occupied by the dismembered son of God.
Right. So Fernwig, with her glowing eyes, looks at this thing and she says, blah, 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 way, blah, 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 religion, blah, 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 passage. And then she comes to a stop, and then she is able to impart that she sort of like is shocked, and she says it's his body. Hiyorugh, this other place, it's the body of his dismembered son. Of Daemoth, right? Of Daemoth's dismembered son.
You.
And I just sort of dropped the scroll into the center of the boat.
The last passage that you read on the scroll describes how one books passage to the Hiyorugh, and that it is possible to reach it, and that apparently these very crusaders had been using it to transport prisoners. For some kind of sentencing is the implication.
They were transporting them to Hiyorugh?
Yeah. So this likely was Fernwig's intended fate.
Oh. Okay, so then at the last, after she's tossed on the floor, she said, that's where they were taking me. That's where they were taking prisoners. They were passing them on to Hiyorugh in order to judge them, to judge me. That's where we were heading.
Now there were others with you in those mirrors, right? Were they all demons like you who had chosen not to become involved in the war, or Do you know what or who they were?
Poor idiots. They were Yarathil. They were the sworn enemies of the Eitharmos and followers of a god that, frankly, Dameth has been at war with for a long time.
Wait, the
Poor things had their wings removed.
The Yarathil are real?
Or Jarathil.
Yeah. Anyone with proficiency in history would know that the Jarathil are fabled people of heretics who have the form of angels in the mythology. But if you kind of reverse it, like common culture would consider them to be heretical creatures, the way that we speak of demons in kind of, our idea of fantasy. There's a polaric reversal of those roles.
What does that have to do with us?
I think Mother took something that she wasn't supposed to. From up there. And I think our boat, the rally, made passage. I don't know if it was the wrong boat, but it seems to have made passage to this place.
You said that the text was an instruction, or did it tell how one was to make passage there?
Yes.
Yeah, the path that the text lays out is highly symbolic and not immediately plain to you.
Oh, it's a bunch of their flowery religious language. It's symbols and allegories and ideas. I can't make heads or tails of it.
So this, Theodore, where did you get this script?
There was a series of them. They were stacked behind the altar. When I took cover there, before I darted back out again, I just grabbed as many as I could and stuffed them into my satchel.
So this, the Eitharmos, they were taking Fernwig and the Jarathil to where? Hiyorugh? Hiyorugh?
Hiyorugh,
They were taking them to Hiyorugh. But we got in the way. Accidentally, I would assume, but perhaps not.
Potentially, they may have had something to do with the things that Mother stole as well. This chest, I grabbed it because I knew what it was, but Briar, you saw the room, the captain's quarters. It was filled with all sorts of horrific artifacts, and there's no telling what the rest of that stuff was for.
Strange statues. In my recollection of the things that we saw hidden in that room, does any of it start to make more sense, or seem to be, have like perhaps like the writing on the statues, would the scripts be familiar to what's on the scrolls or anything like that?
Yeah, you would associate them as being Damethite artifacts or relics. And let's say even that one of the statues strongly resembled some of the mutilated angelic people that you saw burst out of the mirror. And I also just want to give one more reminder, which is when you arrived and found this derelict vessel coming toward you, the body was already filled with the corpses of the Eitharmos, which are now surrounding you. In addition, Theodore had noticed that one of the mirrors seemed to be either missing or fallen over in the rows of them that he saw within the hold of the ship.
So wait, reminding myself and the group of that, it's possible that one of your fellow prisoners escaped, Fernwig?
I couldn't see anything. I was trapped in the mirror, but Theodore, tell us what you saw. What was the state of the mirrors in the hold?
I didn't look at them for very long. There were several of them, but there was one that was missing. One that wasn't where it should be.
Oh, shit.
It's good Foley.
So it could be that something got out of there before I did. Could be that they found something that killed them.
Right. I am beginning to agree with Fernwig. I feel as though there is only one person who is going to be able to help us connect and put all of these pieces into place exactly as they should fit. And it's not as if us or the other boat is going anywhere.
Yes, but it cannot be merely coincidence, right? That this derelict ship of the Eitharmos and our ship with this whatever this is inside of here collided. Mother was lowering my voice. Mother was lying to us about our destination. Is it so hard to believe that she was leading us to this ship? She wanted us to find. I look around and look at the bodies in the water next to us, surrounding us.
As you do, you hear, coming from the derelict vessel, which is pretty far away in the night, the faint sounds of screams.
And with that, Theodore, despite his cavalier attitude with regard to the people, will hang his head. This is something that is all too familiar to him.
Can we see anything on the ship? Is anything happening that's visible from this distance?
Make a perception check with disadvantage.
Okay. Yeah, trying to peer through the darkness.
So just as a reminder to people watching, in case we haven't been explicit about this, on that derelict vessel is the vast majority of the family who were previously traveling on the boat with our players. So they evacuated the burning ship onto this derelict ship with no sails that had contained the altar and these strange scriptures and the mirrors that seemed to be imprisoning various creatures intended to be brought and delivered to this hellish realm.
So, crazy enough, I got a 16 out of 14, so that's a 16 for my perception.
Great. So you can see faintly what look like undulating serpents, very familiar. And hanging off of each one, there are dozens of them. First you see one, then another, and then you realize that those two you saw are moving against a backdrop of dozens more. And they, hanging off the front, slightly overlapped, are bodies. And you can see the bodies reaching out, the legs dangling and flailing as these undulating serpents are moving up, 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 like worms crawling toward the surface of the dirt.
What is Mother and the other boat doing? I mean, I stopped rowing a little bit ago. Have they been rowing at all? Were they?
How can we see them?
They've been getting farther and farther away. They seem to be moving. It's hard because it's just the open sea, so it's a little bit difficult to tell what their bearing might be. But they are definitely gaining distance from you.
How much distance?
Well, if the boat is about 800 feet away, they seem to be going not in that direction, but a little bit off course from there. We'll say that they're 100 feet away from you, outside of hearing from your conversation.
Tiago is just whispering prayers as he sits and cries.
Okay, so I realize that the ship is a good ways off. Like, could we conceivably get back to it? Or is that ship sailed? As it were.
Yeah, you think that as long as the ship isn't being blown by this storm, too directly out of the way that you would be able to eventually get to it. I mean, its only propulsion is just the current, so.
Well, hearing the screams, I like Theodore hasn't seen what Briar has seen, but simply hearing the screams, he'll sort of like his head dropped and sort of reconciling things and trying to sort of press it down. And then for once, not thinking of his own skin, sort of lifts up and says, well, we've got two options. We can either go after Mother, or we can head back to the ship and do what we can for those people.
Go back.
I do admire your self-sacrificing impulse, Theodore, but I don't know. I don't know what those things are or what they're capable of. I don't know if you can even see them from here, but those things floating over the boat. They are what I saw down in the hold that had the captain. I don't know if we are capable of fighting them, or if we are, I would prefer not to do it when there are dozens of them. And I think if Mother is going somewhere, that means that she knows where she's going, or at least has some idea. I say we follow them and figure out what's going on.
I agree.
Theodore.
Briar, you would also have in your memory, just as a reminder, since it's been a week,
Thank
for
you
you
for
it's
the
only
memories.
been an hour,
Yes.
that this thing spoke to you through the corpse that it had suckled onto.
Oh,
And
yes.
what it said was, flee as you might, you have been chosen.
Yeah, I'll repeat that to the group and say that's what it said to me. Yeah, I think that's not the last that we'll see of those. I don't know what that means, that we've been chosen.
I think these bodies surrounding our boat speak for themselves. Theodore, I would gladly return and save as many lives as possible. But I think you and I both know by the time we got back there, it is far too late. We made our choice, and we left them, knowing what would happen, knowing this would happen.
If what Briar says is true, we're going to face those things regardless of whether we go after Mother or we turn and go back to those people.
But if we don't go after Mother now, you might never get your answers.
As the word answers resounds through this empty sea around you, suddenly a bursting form comes up from the water about 20 feet away from the boat, and you can see these rolling, undulating spheres beneath a membranous sack in a long trail, and it curls up above the boat, and you hear it make this terrifying sound. And it dives down onto the boat and is attempting to grasp the largest person it sees, which is Briar.
Oh my gosh.
Let's roll initiative.
Okay.
As it charges down, you, in the split second, also see more of these things springing up out of the water, and they seem to be grabbing onto the corpses. Their membranes have slid down over the eyes and about half the head of the bodies. Either some of the bodies have these kind of Spartan-style helmets on, others the helmet has been torn off, but this slippery, slimy membrane has slid over their faces and is drawing the corpses up out of the water, as well as trying to grab the living creatures that are on your own boat. Oof. So, let us begin. Anyone roll 20 or higher? Yeah.
Huzzah.
I got a dirty 20.
Great. So Adelaide's at 20. How about over 15? Okay. Over 10?
14.
Great. Anyone else? Or are we?
9.
8.
Okay.
7.
Nice.
So it was Fernwig at 9,
Mm-hmm.
and 7 is Theodore.
7 is Tiago, 8 is Theodore.
Great. Okay.
Gonna
Okay,
miss
here we
bells.
go. Whenever you're ready, Emma, Adelaide can start.
Adelaide jumps to her feet and she just says, "Oh no, you fucking don't!" And she is going to raise up her hand and shoot flames out of the palms of her hand. 10 plus. I think it's a 6. Sorry, 1 second. Yes, 10 plus 6, 16.
Okay. Now, this is it an Eldritch Blast or
No, it's Hellish Rebuke.
Hellish Rebuke? Okay. Hellish Rebuke, I believe, is when you get damaged by a creature.
Only when I get
that
damaged,
right?
then it's an Eldritch Blast. And that's
Okay,
what it is.
great. Yeah. Works for me.
I'm not used to going first.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so that hits.
Okay, cool. Then I believe it's 1d8, 1d10. Let me double check. 1d10, thank you. Okay, this is a 10. That's a 6.
Okay, plus your charisma modifier.
Plus 4.
Nice.
10.
Okay, you see this this saturated golden beam blast toward it, striking it for 10 force damage. This seems to be an effective damage type against it. You blow a hole in the membrane, and you can see out of it rolls a kind of crystalline, perfectly spherical orb, and you just see it plunk into the water.
Question, is Silver still with me? Us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want Silver to do anything?
I think as part of Pact with the Chain, I can have Silver attack, but I think that has to happen instead of my regular action.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I think Silver is just gonna like hiss and arch her back and look fierce, if that is allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So she's sticking next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Briar, before this thing reaches you, you have the opportunity to respond.
So, you said there are a bunch of these that just appeared out of the water, right?
Yes.
And they're
Only one has trained its attention on the boat.
one is paying attention, and the others are picking up these corpses. Okay, first I'm going to rage. I'm just gonna start just seething as this thing happens. Oh, fucking course, and I'll pull my axe off of this thing on my back. I'm going to. I mean, it was within range that I can attack it?
Yes. Yep.
Or is it
It's
floating
coming
up
right
in the-
towards you. On its turn, it will get to attack, but you can make a melee attack against it if you want.
And there's no like cover or any way I can get into a place that would be more protected from it. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna sit here and T-ball the thing. I'm just gonna boom with the head of the axe. Yeah. I think I won't do reckless attack or frenzy. Yeah. Both of those seem. Well, reckless attack seems reckless. So I'm just gonna make a roll and see what happens.
Okay.
That's going to be a 16 to hit.
That hits.
Okay. And then that will be 10 damage. No, 8 damage.
Okay. Slashing damage.
Yes, 8 slashing damage.
All right. You slice through the membrane. You hear a clacking sound as the blade of your axe hits these orbs that are living within inside it. There's this strange goo dripping out of the marks and holes that have been made in the membrane. Okay. If that's all for Briar,
Yes.
It now has its opportunity to
Yeah.
attack you.
Come at me.
Okay, as it bears down upon you, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. Da-ba-ba. And I believe that with danger sense, I have advantage on dex saving throws against effects I can see while not blinded, deafened, or incapacitated, correct?
Perfect. Yep.
Great. So that's a. I don't have a. Sorry, dexterity saving throw. That's a 13.
Okay, that is the DC.
Ooh.
As it bears down on you, you can see the membrane sliding forward, like this profane, or it's almost indecent the way it slides
Yes.
down over these orbs, creating kind of a hollow ring in the center. Inside that ring, you see what looks like the vague form of a humanoid face, utterly bereft of reason or any semblance of a human understanding, but this face just kind of moves toward you, and the opening is its mouth, but you manage to slide out of the way, and it hits the deck of the ship with this slopping kind of slushy sound.
Ooh.
After that happens, it quickly slides along the deck of the boat. It is going to move between each of you and slides up right against Theodore on top of the crate. In this instance, you each get an opportunity attack against it. Sorry, I shouldn't say you each. It is the opportunity attacks will be Briar and Tiago. The others, it doesn't leave your reach, so therefore you don't get the opportunity attack. So go ahead and make a melee attack if you like.
9.
Okay. And this is. How about Briar?
Sorry, what was it? What was the roll I'm
And
making?
you can make an opportunity attack if you like.
Oh, heck yes. 9. Nothing.
Okay, great. So so it moves past you, and you try to hit it, and you just hit the deck of the boat.
Ugh.
And that takes us to Fernwig's turn. This thing is now right beside you.
How much of its body do I see? Is it just this tentacle coming out of the...
It has fully left the water. It seems to be hovering and undulating, and now it's sliding along the deck of the boat. So you can see basically all of it.
All right. Fernwig wants to try to reduce it, if possible. So Fernwig panicked, and then we see her kind of push her hands like that and try to shrink this thing down to something we can manage.
Okay, what's the saving throw?
For that, let me see. Good question.
Is always like buried in the description. I can find it.
Yep.
It is a Constitution saving throw.
Constitution, yep. All right.
So it rolls an 11. So you succeed. As this thing is kind of sliding across the deck, Fernwig's psychic abilities, you change something in the matter and composition of its body, and it just contracts. You see several of the orbs slide out of the holes that have been made in the membrane, and the membrane just shrivels. And it is now, after that, it's about 5 feet long.
Okay. Fernwig breathes a sigh of relief and then collapses back down into the boat.
Excellent. You sense that its strength is now reduced, and it might be doing a little less damage with attacks. Okay,
That's it for me.
Theo.
So Theodore will leap at this opportunity and bring his longsword up over his head with 2 hands and try and cleave its head off.
Okay.
So 13.
13 is going to miss.
Ah, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, so, or rather, your blade, maybe the flat of the blade hits it and then slides quickly,
Sure.
unable to harm it. Anything else you'd like to do on your turn?
So it was moving toward. Is there a way to position, like, trying to envision where we are in relation to the chest? It looks like it's moving towards the chest. If there is a way for Theodore to put himself between it and the chest, he'll do that. If not, he'll just stay put.
Yeah, it's right next to you, so basically it's on top of the chest right now.
Got you. Okay. Does it seem to be focused on the chest, or is it focused on us?
No, it's focused on you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stay put.
Okay, Tiago.
Tiago will. I'm gonna take my action. Damn it. Tiago's going to. How much room is on the boat? I mean, like, how much extra space is on the boat? Like, do I think if I kind of, like, morph, it's gonna be a problem?
No, you won't like fall off the boat because you don't fit anymore, if that's
Okay.
what you're worried about.
All right. Well, then in that case, Tiago's eyes roll back into his head. And that's my action, so I guess I just...
Nice.
Any bonus action?
No. No, I don't.
Okay.
Just, I'm
Just
prepared.
transformed into
I'm
a
ready.
wolf man. Amazing.
Yeah.
Back to Adelaide.
Adelaide will point a finger at the reduced creature and telepathically command Silver to kill.
Great. Okay. Make an attack with Silver.
Do I just roll like my d20? I've never done this before for a familiar.
So Silver's stat block is going to be the stat block of an imp.
Okay.
However, obviously skinned as a cat, no pun intended. Sorry, no, that's not an intentional reference to harming animals. But so you would make just roll a d20 and I can tell you in the future I'll have it ready for you.
Well, it doesn't matter right now because I rolled a 1.
Okay, so she lashes out at this thing and is unable to hit it. It's moving fairly quickly as like parts of it arc out away from danger. So let's see, is that all of Adelaide's turn?
I want to move. I guess, yeah, I want to move so that I'm not close to it in the chest, but still close enough to attack. So I guess she moves back a little bit.
Okay, great. Briar, you can see it now arcing up as if it's getting ready for another pounce.
Yeah, whatever size this thing is, it's still one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. So I'm gonna just like leap towards. I'm gonna do a reckless attack. So I'm gonna get advantage on the attack, but it will have advantage on attacks against me next round.
Right.
So I'm gonna leap towards it and try to shatter one of the orbs with the axe if I can.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. Good thing. One of those was a 1. The other one was an 18. So that's a 20 with my advantage with the axe. Then damage. That's going to be a 7. 7 damage.
Okay, great. You're adding 2 to the damage from your rage.
Yes, oh, sorry. Yeah, 2 additional from rage. Yes, so that'll be 9.
Awesome. Okay, you slam your axe into it, and you feel a whole bunch of the orbs crack, and they split the membrane and start rolling out. And it is now looking actually pretty diminished, and the goo has almost entirely spilled out of the membrane, leaving it
To the boat.
it looks even more shriveled and bare than it did after the reduce effect happened.
All right.
Okay, that it for you?
Yeah, that's it. Oh.
It nevertheless will try a slam attack against you. It has advantage on this. That's a critical hit.
Yep. All right. Bring it on.
So you take... Second here. 13 bludgeoning damage. That's reduced down to 6.
Awesome. Ooh, yeah.
That is its turn. Yep. So that brings us to Fernwig.
How close am I to this
Right
sad
next to it.
thing? All right, Fernwood produces a dagger from within her extra layers of clothing and just makes a good old stab at it.
Great.
So we'll see how I do. Ooh, okay, 6 plus 10.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work out for
unfortunately,
me.
you hit a part of the membrane that seems to not harm it.
Cool. I want to use a bonus action. No, I think I don't want to give it an opportunity, so I'm just gonna kind of hold on to the dagger and try to keep it in the membrane.
Okay, awesome. Theodore.
I'll take a quick glance around. Are there any more of these things that are around the boat, or?
Yes, you can see a second is hurtling toward you through the air, undulating as it gets closer. It's currently about 20 feet away and will reach you next round.
Okay. So with that, like in a very sort of like whack-a-mole fashion, like lifts his sword again and brings it down, attempting to correct the angle so that he could slice across and finish this thing off. So that is going to be a 17 this time.
Okay, that's a hit.
Okay, so so that will be a 5 total slashing damage.
Okay, with that blow, you hack through the last bit of the membrane. The orbs roll out and seem to just turn into objects on the deck of the boat, and this thing stops moving entirely. The membrane quickly begins to reduce into a liquid.
Okay. So like taking a moment of reprieve, but knowing that the other thing is coming, I'll sort of turn to the others. And like seriously, but like also kind of like half-hearted because Theodore's feeling things out on this one. He'll say, "What are the odds if we release whatever's in that chest that it'll help us for setting it free?"
Or we could throw it overboard.
Or we could throw it overboard.
I think we might be able to row out of here. That seems like a last-ditch option. I feel like we can get out. Enough of them are distracted. Is there something else coming?
Yes, there's another one that's heading right toward you.
How far is it?
20 feet.
That's not a lot.
Tiago,
of feet.
you have an opportunity to do something.
Tiago is hearing this, turns, and just immediately kind of drops to the deck of the boat. I picture it almost like a maidenhead. Like his head is at the front. He's gonna
Nice.
dip both large arms into the water and just start like rowing, like trying quickly to get us out of this area.
You're
Towards
gonna doggy
Mother's
paddle us
boat.
out of here.
Yeah, doggy paddle. That's right.
Okay. You can definitely tell as soon as you start doing this that you're not going to be able to escape this thing which is flying toward you. But you can make a little bit of progress rowing the boat to different waters. It's slow, though. It's much slower than just using the oars.
Oh, well. All right.
In the heat of the moment.
That's why we developed the technology.
Do you want to continue and have that be your action, or do you want to stop that course and do something else?
Yeah, I mean, if I can do something else, then I'll do something
Sure.
else. So we have one coming at us, 20 feet away. It's a large one.
Yes, a number of others are moving through the air,
Yeah.
bringing up corpses up into the
I
moon.
assume that they're going to keep coming and just devour us. So I'll grab the oars and start rowing with the oars.
Great. Okay, make an athletics check.
Okay. Man, my rolls have been pretty crap tonight. 13.
Okay, you managed to row a pretty good distance, a little farther than you might have done at a casual pace. Your panic is fueling the propulsion of the boat.
And your J stroke is just great. Oh wait, you probably don't need a J stroke with 2 oars.
Not with 2 oars. Adelaide's turn.
So the biggest threat is the one that's pursuing us because the one in the boat.
Yeah, it's hurtling toward you.
Do the orbs and the liquid in the boat, do they seem to be something we should be concerned about, or just okay?
No, I mean it's gross, but it's not dangerous.
Okay. Adelaide will look to Silver and say, "Can you go out there and point to where the snake is, the sneaky thing?"
Mm-hmm. In the air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Silver will pounce up. Do you want Silver to try and leap the 20 feet?
Well, no, it's a real question. Like, can you go over there?
Yeah. So telepathically, Silver will say, "Yes, I can fly."
Perfect. Fly over there and bite that thing right on the head.
Okay. It looks like just an enormous cat leap as Silver hurtles through the air and tears into this thing. So if you'd roll another d20.
17 this time.
Great. And that's a plus 5. So 22 will hit. And then roll a d4.
Okay. 4.
Okay, excellent. So you deal 7 piercing damage with the bite. And then it is going to make a saving throw. Okay, it fails its saving throw, and just telepathically you're aware that Silver has injected poison into it.
Okay. Oh, injected poison. Okay, cool.
Yeah, through the bite.
Nice.
Okay, so that deals 10 poison damage.
Sweet. See?
Oh.
She's a good friend.
All right.
I take back anything bad I ever said about that cat.
Briar, your turn.
I'll say, I'll just sort of mumble at Adelaide, lethal is different than good. And then I will, I'll maybe like look down. This would be part of movement or actions. Like I would like to be able to make an attack as well. Actually, I probably can't. I'd like to prepare an action, but I'd also like to see if I could talk to Edda, who is probably hiding under the benches of the lifeboat, and ask her if she can, and say, Edda, can you help Tiago row?
She looks up a little bit baffled.
I will make sure that this thing does not hit you.
She has been hiding her vision from it and has not gotten a direct look at these creatures. As she sits up, she can't help but take a glance, and suddenly she just starts shrieking and seems unable to handle what her mind is comprehending.
Okay, then I'm going to grab her by the shoulder or maybe the forehead and just put her back underneath the chair if I can. It's like, stay there.
Yeah,
and then I'll prepare an action for whenever it comes towards me. I'm just like, once more, come at me, bro. Okay.
Okay, it's coming, so make your ready to attack.
Okay, amazing. That's going to be, sorry, I did not do that correctly. That was going to be, that was like a 12 to hit. So, not a hit.
You're adding your strength and your proficiency bonus, right?
It was, do I add my strength?
Strength modifier
bonus?
and proficiency bonus.
Oh, okay. So, that would be, sorry, what would my proficiency
bonus
likely
is
be?
2.
Okay, then that would be a 14. Okay.
That hits.
Okay, great. Then I will roll damage. Rolling all of my fancy damages. That will be 12 damage.
Great.
So all y'all got magic. I got a big ol' axe.
As this thing hurtles towards you, again, you see its membrane open up, and you cut the tip of the membrane off, and the whole thing just dissolves into liquid under your strike. It already had taken some damage from Silver, and Silver lands on her feet on the boat beside Briar.
And I'm just like soaked with gross stuff, I assume.
Oh yeah. Oh, all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems to go from like a bright pale blue to a deep magenta color.
Oh.
Oh, pretty.
Okay, I'm gonna get down and I'm gonna start rowing with Tiago.
Okay. So
If we're not
Yep.
still in initiative order, we might.
We are still in the initiative order because one more springs up beside the boat, not having found a corpse. You can see the corpses are all being taken up into the sky, and this one wheels around and is going to target Fernwig. Fernwig, would you make a dexterity saving throw?
17 plus 2, 19. Surprisingly.
Okay.
Shockingly.
You dart to the side and you see the membrane, which was coming right at your head. It strikes your arm, which stings a little bit, but there's no damage. And then it is going to go back up into the air, provoking an opportunity attack from Fernwig.
Sweet. Can I, does this thing have a mind? Can I slash at it with Ego Whip?
It does.
It does have a mind. I'm gonna give it a shot. All right.
You know what, though? You unfortunately, Ego Whip doesn't work for an opportunity attack.
Okay.
You'd have to be with your dagger. It has to be a melee
Okay.
weapon.
Let's just. So it's up above me, kind of.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fleeing, so you have a chance to kind of swipe at it before.
So I do like an upward swipe, hoping to cut it like open, like you'd cut a tamale open or something. Just like.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Let's see how I do. 9 plus 4, 13.
Okay, you just miss. You feel the tip of the dagger slice against it as it goes up. It is now flying. Let's see. It's flying 30 feet above the boat. Okay. And Fernwig, that was an opportunity attack, but now it's your actual turn. So now you can do your Ego Whip if you want.
Now I'm gonna try to Ego Whip that thing. Okay, let's see. 19 plus my spell modifier, 24.
Very nice, yeah. You reach out to its mind and just...
Great, and I do it with all the crusty anger that's been building up right now, and just go at it, and yeah. So I roll for damage. D8, 6.
Okay, 6 psychic damage. Awesome. Okay, Theodore.
Okay. I'm going to, as the tide of battle is shifting with a bit of flair, Theodore is going to kind of hop up onto the chest and like try and swing his longsword like over top of Fernwig to like cut at the upper area, feeling a bit more confident.
So just be aware, it's now flown 30 feet above your heads. So you're not going to be able to reach it with a melee attack.
Okay.
Can that still happen though? Like, I love that visual.
I know.
If it comes back down, you could ready.
Yeah, and that's what I'll do. I'll ready an attack. If Theodore is aware that he's not going to be, which would make sense if it was coming down for him to jump up on the chest as well. So that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, Tiago. Still rowing?
Yeah. Yep. Just gonna row.
It's noble work, man.
Just gonna
It's
row.
noble work.
It seems like they might have this under control if this is the last one that we can see. So, yep.
It's definitely not the last one you can see,
Okay, well.
but it's the last one that seems to be attacking at this moment.
But getting out of here
Is
is
rowing
also the key
working?
to not
Is it-
having
Yeah.
more of them.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah, make an athletics check.
Okay. Can I use an action to guide myself, to use guidance as a cantrip for this? Or
Yes, but then you would have to wait one more turn. You'd basically be
Never mind.
delaying rowing as you're like praying or whatever.
Yep, never mind. No worries. Well, I got a 7, so
Okay, your oars are getting caught on more bodies, and you're unable to move much farther this round.
Ugh.
Okay, that takes us to Adelaide again.
Feeling more confident now that she has Silver by her side, Adelaide is going to aim up at the snaky thing in the air and try to hit it with another big blast of fire from the palm of her hand. And that's a 2. So she misses. But she strikes a cool pose as she's doing it.
Great. Okay, yeah, you see the beam go straight up, whatever it is, like 150 feet through the air, like a firework. And then
Can I throw something over my shoulder though? Like say something to Theodore?
Absolutely.
Theodore, if you do decide to open that box, just be sure to do it far away from us.
Well, if I'm being honest, things looked a little more dire a few moments ago.
Knock on wood.
Briar's turn.
With that, Theodore will kick the chest.
Briar, are you rowing?
So it is above, and they're sort of prepping. Yeah, I think I'm gonna hop in with Tiago. I mean, obviously he's struggling. He's trying to get all of us, and we're moving around. So I think if I can jump in and help, that might be worthwhile.
Okay.
So athletics check, correct?
Yep.
Sorry.
And you have advantage until the end of this turn when your rage ends because you didn't attack or take damage.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you have advantage on this one, but then after that.
So I'm gonna just like I'm gonna not be pissed off anymore. That's a shame. Okay, so to my athletics, I just add the athletics modifier, which is +2, so that's 13 on rowing.
Okay, so Tiago, you feel your lack of purchase in the waves compensated for as the boat continues to move. And it is at that moment that this thing again hurtles downward at Fernwig. Go ahead, Theodore, take your opportunity attack, or your readied action.
That'll be a 19.
Okay, that hits.
And then, 8 slashing damage.
Okay. Fernwig, make a dexterity saving throw.
Oof, 8.
Okay, the membrane slides over Fernwig's, the top half of her head.
Oh no.
As it does, you are grappled. And while you're grappled, you're also restrained, unable to breathe as the membrane slides over your mouth and nose. And at the start of your turns, you'll start to feel a very heavy burning sensation all around your face. But for now, it is your turn. So at the start of your turn, you take 16 necrotic damage. What everyone sees is the flesh of her body starts to just slowly drip, and it reminds Briar of the state of the captain's corpse that you saw. It had been kind of like, almost like it had been dunked in acid as the flesh was just pouring off. You see little drips begin, starting at the face and going down Fernwig's body. You can now take your turn, Fernwig. So you could use your action to try to escape. Or you can just attack it with disadvantage from having your head suckled.
I feel like... oh goodness. I can't really cast false life on myself to help myself a bunch. Probably right now. Yeah, I'll try to escape.
Okay. Make an acrobatics or athletics check, your choice.
Okay. Let's do 9.
Okay, you're unable to wrest yourself from its grasp. And then it is Theo's turn.
Okay. So having leapt up on top of the chest and swiping across and seeing what is happening to Fernwig, he'll swing back down and try and place the blade so that it slices through whatever is holding Fernwig in place to try and free her. I'm really good with a sword, Theo thinks to himself as he slashes a foot or two.
Okay, make your roll.
Okay, so it's not a fumble, but that's going to be a 7 total.
Okay, fortunately, You're not able to damage it. You can tell right away that had your blow been better placed, Fernwig almost certainly would have been hit by it. Almost all of the thing's bottom length is being taken up as it's sliding down Fernwig's body. And it is now Tiago's turn.
Okay. Tiago stands and turns, pushing a hand onto the creature and kind of digging the nails in a little bit, and then just lets out a roar. It's 19?
Okay, that hits.
Okay. Sorry, this is essence kind of rushes out of his hand and into the creature. This is inflict wounds. So 3d10 necrotic. Um, 18 necrotic.
Okay. 9 of that damage goes to Fernwig.
Shit.
Where are you in terms of hit points?
I had 19 total, so I am now dead or at 0.
Well, yeah. So you see Fernwig drop unconscious, and her body lifts off the deck of the boat. Not very far because it's not the creature's turn, but she's basically being held aloft as she unconsciously, her body dangling like a rag doll.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. It's still your turn, Tiago.
To finish my turn, well, 2 things. Number 1, can I use my movement to leap up on and try to grab onto the tentacle thing with her?
It would be an action to grapple.
Okay. All right. Then
You
at the
could
very
hop
least,
in front of it if you wanted.
what?
I said you could hop in front of it if you wanted. Yeah, but you can't grab it.
Yeah. Well, then I'll just. I would like to spare the dying as a bonus action on her.
Awesome. Okay, so Fernwig, you are not dying. You're just unconscious
Okay.
at 0 hit points. Okay. Well done, Tiago. Saving another life. Adelaide, your
That
turn.
I killed.
Oh, Adelaide is going to turn her attention to Fernwig and telepathically instruct Silver to bite to try and sever, to break this connection. And I'm going to roll for
Okay,
Silver.
make the attack with disadvantage if you want to try to do that specific, basically trying to release Fernwig in addition to the damage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first roll was a 12. The second one was a 15. So 12
Okay.
plus, I think it was
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. So she does bite. The damage is, if you would roll 1d4 and then 3d6 for the poison damage.
That's a 3 for the 4. And then you said 3d6.
Mhm.
6, 3, 4. 13.
Nice. Okay,
3.
she does so, and the entire form of this worm-like creature goes limp and just drops, and again, immediately starts dissolving into this slushy liquid. Fernwig's body is now just prone on the boat.
At least I'm on the boat. Thought I was going to end up in the drink. Okay.
Are we still being pursued, or are we out of initiative?
All around you, these serpent-like creatures are undulating through the air, moving bodies up into the heavens. They seem to have cleared the majority of the corpses out of the water. You can see that the ship off in the distance now looks empty and still, as nothing seems to remain, except that you do see what look like levitating frames, like mirrors, with a tombstone-like arc as the top of the frame start to move. You see them glimmering in the light, like the sheen of the mirror reflecting the moon, as they levitate up and also seem to be taken up. And yeah, we're no longer in initiative.
I'm going to turn to whoever's next to me, a gesture to Fernwig, and say, "My culinary skills are middling at best. We can't afford to lose her."
Tiago will reach down to Fernwig and cast. I'll cast Cure Wounds at 2nd level.
Her face, which had been horribly marred, the lips had basically decomposed. All the creases that show the care and experience she's had over the years had just turned into fissures in the flesh. But now, as you pass your hand over them, they heal slowly over the course of a moment.
So that's 19 points back to you, which is exactly perfect. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Circle of mortality. Good stuff.
The surface of this massive golden saturated orb is seemingly moving down to meet the objects that are coming up to it. And you have this impression of the boat shifting almost to like a 45-degree angle as the water beneath you starts to swirl. And in that swirl, you can see shapes rising up, not the corpses, not these serpentine aberrations, but instead there's some kind of chalice-shaped stone, massive. It must be hundreds and hundreds of feet in diameter, is coming up, and the water is trickling down through these holes and fissures within the surface of this bowl. And you feel the boat clunk, clunk, and then creak and rise up. You are now bottomed out on this thing that's rising up out of the water. And the moon is moving down toward you. And you hear, just like in the depths of your minds, you hear this chortle as of some cosmic thing laughing and glutting itself on what is to come. You pass through a barrier of light. It's hard to tell exactly how long this takes, but all you see is this golden, blinding light around you as the surface of this moon-like thing passes through your bodies, through the water, and everything goes black. Until you wake up next week, and we will see what happens.
What?
You have seemingly passed into the Hiyorugh.
Oh my god.
Oh.
my gosh.
Which is the discarded body of a great
Of the son of David. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, like you do.
Well, Theodore wanted adventure.
Wow.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
so we'll see what you see when we pick up next week. Thanks everyone so much for watching and participating in the chat. Thank you for the subscriptions, the gifted subscriptions, all of your support. We appreciate it so much. Make sure you tune in Sunday morning for something much more uplifting, 10:30 a.m. Central Time for Pitfalls and Ponies. And then I believe we have a raid that we've got planned as we wrap up tonight.
Yes, we do. I was so taken in by your storytelling.
There's a lot going on.
Yes, we are rating right now. We are rating Perception Studio, everybody. So we'll see you there. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye. Thank